back with some Geoguessr tips and tricks. Today is over Greece, which is one of my stronger countries according to Geoguessr rules. And it's a fairly easy kind of country, but can definitely be confused for a lot of other countries around the entire world. So let's just get into some of these tips and tricks. So, not the best one to start with, but an overall explanation of Greece in Geoguessr. So, in Greece, you'll of course see the European blue strip on all of the plates. You'll be right-hand driving with usually white road lines, very Mediterranean climate. You'll see olive trees. You'll see those little rocky formations. You'll see flat buildings like this. But the most important thing for Greece is the language, because Greece is the only country in the world that uses Greek. Well, just as well as Cyprus, but they drive left. Is the only country in the world that has the Greek alphabet, which in Europe would be pretty much one of three distinct language groups. You got the Latin script, which is most of Europe. You have Cyrillic and Greek, at least in main Europe. And Cyrillic, you'll see more. A better way to identify Cyrillic is you'll see a lot of N's and B's be distinct, but in Greek you have everything else as well. A lot of the Greek letters, like this one right here, you see in like math and science things a lot. So if you recognize any of them from like a formula, then you know you're in Greek as well. So yeah, that's about it for the basic things. Now on to this actual tip, which we're in a pretty big city, and there's mountains. Of course, Greece is very mountainous. But this one specifically with these taxis. So if you're in a big city and you see a taxi, you don't just have to be like, okay, is it Athens? Is it Thessaloniki or not? Because if you see yellow taxis, you're just in Athens. And if you see blue taxis, you're in Thessaloniki. It's that simple for the two big cities. Okay, this is a decent round. So Greece, of course, isn't just this mainland and this peninsula, but it's also most of these islands and Crete, the big island. And knowing the islands is pretty good, especially knowing Crete compared to the normal Greece is pretty beneficial. But overall in Greece, if you are in a heavily mountainous area, huge mountains, you're going to be in this western portion. And if you're in a very flat part, you're going to be mainly along the north, and then some parts in this valley in between the mountains and this mountain range. So those are going to be the flat parts, and then slightly hilly is most of the rest. But we have olive trees specifically here. You might not be able to tell, but yeah, there's some olive trees here. And olive trees are found in like Spain, Italy, southern France, Croatia, Tunisia. They're found all over the Mediterranean. Greece is no exception, but if you see olive trees in Greece or around that looks very Spanish, then chances are you're going to be on this peninsula or Crete. Because this peninsula, I actually don't know the name of the peninsula, and Crete are the most Mediterranean parts of Greece by far. And if you see all olive trees, you're going to be in one or two. But then in old Gen 3 coverage, if you see this antenna with like a bulge at the top that makes it appear bigger just at the top of the antenna, you're going to be in Crete. Guaranteed. So yeah. Okay, now for some more of the European basics. Of course, we got the red and white sign showing your speed, but bollards. The Greek bollard is kind of like a mixture of like of the Hungarian and like the Czechoslovak one, because it's white with red tape and then a red reflector. But the reflector will always be a square. It will be a square. Actually, I think the Portuguese one is similar, but you will always see a red square on the front and a white square on the back. You instantly know it's Greece. And then the road sign right here, the red with the yellow with the red outline, which you usually see in like the Nordics, sometimes in like Poland or Romania, among others. In the Balkans, it's really only Greece and a few others that use it. But then one of my biggest things for Greece is the road lines, double white road lines. Greece is unique in the Balkans, especially, where they're pretty much the only country in the Balkans that you will see pretty commonly double white center lines, like in Chile, Malaysia, or Poland. But you can also find double yellow lines, mainly in this western portion. And if you see double yellow lines in Europe, you're going to be in Greece, a rare Turkey, a rare Norway, or Finland. Guaranteed. And if you know you're in the Balkans, you're going to be in Greece, because Turkey would use outer yellows as well. The last thing, which I will go into depth, well, not much more depth later, but the poles. If you see a big wooden pole, it's a good thing for Greece. And we also have this Mediterranean architecture as well. So this round, we're obviously on an island. You could probably tell because this looks like something like maybe like a Gibraltar, like a Sicily. But we got Greek. But the classic Greek architecture that people think of when they think of Greece is this all white architecture. That's just very iconic. But you really don't see this that much in Greece. If anything, you really see it around the islands, mainly the islands around Athens. That's where you primarily see them. It's the islands just next to Athens, but you can find the abundance of this white architecture in other parts of Greece as well. But we know we're in an island, so we're gonna be in one of these islands. I'll just send this one. Okay, and some more just basic European things to region guesses. The road crossing sign. The road crossing sign, chevrons, and bollards. Oh, I did not mean to do that. Those three things are the best things for knowing which European country you are in. Bollards being the best, of course, but the road crossing signs divides Europe in like 5 categories. And if you see these dashes on the road like this, you really only ever see dashes in like Poland, Serbia, Greece, maybe like Austria, maybe another country I'm forgetting about. But these 2 dashes you see in Greece. While most of Europe uses like road lines, like thick lines are going vertical instead of horizontal like this. Serbia also uses something similar. Austria, Poland only uses 1 line of these. So it's between those 3, and we have white architecture, we got Greek language, we got everything. Something else I will note is right here we see we can sometimes see a yellow plate. Don't mind the yellow plates. If you see a yellow plate, and don't think Greece. It could be Greece, but always think of the other thing. But it says Crete on here, so it's gonna send it. Okay, this specific location isn't very beneficial for in terms of specific tips and tricks, but this is just the standard Greece you're gonna get. Mediterranean, you have this black and white chevron, which you see around the Mediterranean. We have the white lines. We got like Spanish landscape, but the greener you are, probably the more north you are, I guess is something you could say, or I guess you could be here. But yeah, probably primarily along the north. But that location was pretty flat. Apart from a mountain range we could see in the distance, but everything else was perfectly flat. So that is very indicative of the north. Okay, and then around like this, it's very, it's desolate. We see olives, which, well, not necessarily olives, but this specific type of colored tree you see all over the Mediterranean. This looks like Sicily, like exactly like Sicily. It looks like parts of Greece as well. But this very kind of like untouched landscape is what you could say. A very vast, just untouched, desolate, arid Mediterranean landscape, which is a random part with actual civilization. But yeah, the main thing to identify, I will say in a bit, is just the complete vast uninhabited land that actually looks like if you were just plonked in the middle of a spot before civilization happened. This would look like. So what a lot of these random islands look like. A lot of them are more barren of vegetation than this one, but just the complete abundance of just pure nature is what you'd see on a lot of these islands, mainly along like the Turkish side, maybe like down here as well. But most of the islands will just be absolute nothingness. But this is close to that. We do have some civilization, so I'm going to go up here. But just the complete barren, uninhabited landscape. That's what you take away from this. Okay, so that'll be it for this tips and tricks video. Greece overall is not that hard of a country to identify or reach and guess, or it doesn't matter as much in like a duel setting. But this guy will definitely help some PvP and people get closer in their guesses and not confuse it for Spain or Italy as much. So that's the point of this, and that'll be it for this tips and tricks video. Pretty short, but it was helpful. I'll see y'all next time.